What's poppin', everybody? It's the Saber Fighting 4. I'm back with a Dominant Pro Era deck profile today. This time it's going to be a popular kind of a deck on a popular Pokemon. It's going to be Gengar. People used to call the deck a Cursegar back in the day, or maybe you can treat this as a Stormfront Gengar deck. I have it partnered up with Alakazam from Mysterious Treasures. You guys are going to see if you don't know. So let's go right ahead into the deck profile. The sets are going to be Dominant Pro through Arceus, the standard 2009 format. No Heart Gold, Soul Silver stuff, just pure Dominant Pro. And I guess the Platinum sets too. But anyway, Gengar comes in first. I got two of the Stormfront Gengar and two of the Cursegar Arceus Gengar. Now, before you guys go nuts in the comments, the reason why I'm doing 2 and 2 is because I don't own a Gengar level X. I didn't want to use a proxy or anything. If you have a Gengar level X, the way you would do it is 2 Stormfront, 1 Gengar from Arceus, and then the Gengar level X, of course. But since I don't have that, I'm doing 2 and 2. The best decks, if you look at like Jason's deck list, Frank Diaz, they run 2 Stormfront, 1 of the Arceus 1 and 1 Gengar level X, because this Gengar, the Stormfront 1 is just too good. Feign and Spell is good. You can just get lucky and get easy kills even against bad matchups. And Shadow Room is just too good. Most of the best decks, use Poke Powers. So it basically is a free 60 for 1. Anywhere on the field too. You access the bench, and that's too good. Poltergeist, really nice as well. This is pretty much the best Gengar card ever made. Maybe you could say some newer ones give it competition, like the Tag Team GX, but this is just too good, and it's just a faster option. This one is nice too, but you need an extra energy to use the attack. It doesn't have a first attack. Curse lets you move a damage counter from one of your opponent's Pokemon to a different Pokemon. So with the 10 you do with Shadow Skip on the bench, spreading damage around, especially if you use Gengar level X2, you can sort of manipulate damage counters, get some KOs, and it can be pretty nasty. I mean, the deck used to be called Cursegar because most people ran more of this guy and just one of the Stormfront Gengar. And then the tactic would be you attack with this, and then you promote something like Spiritomb or Mr. Mime, perhaps. But yeah, normally it's best to do 2 Stormfront, 1 of Arceus, and then the level X if you have it. Okay, and that's the Gengar, or Gengars. Then we got 4 Hunters. I got 3 of the Dominant Pro 1, and I have 1 of the Stormfront. That's right, Stormfront 1. So this one has Free Retreat, and that's about it. The Stormfront 1 is just better in every other regard besides that. More HP, usable attacks. Smog is out of poison, then Hoodwink. You can do 30 for 1, and then give your opponent trainer cards back from the discard pile to their hand. Give them that option. And that's basically to build up Poltergeist if they can't get rid of the trainers, that kind of thing. But it's pretty much you just do 30 for 1 and it has better HP if you have to attack with it. I like this guy better though because of that Free Retreat. A lot of the times we don't want to attack with Haunter, even if we have that opportunity. We just want to, if we open up with Gastly, evolve into the Haunter, move it out of the way, and then promote Spiritomb to just slowly evolve into the other Pokemon, get into Gengar, get into Claydol, and then build up our energies, not even losing energy when we retreat. So that's why I think this is the better option. You can maybe pull off in a desperate time the Dream Eater combo, Hypnosis, and then Dream Eater 60 for 2, but you're just going to want to get out of the way. That's about it. So that's the Hunters. And then for the Gastly, of course, you got to run the Stormfront Gastly, the best one, might be the best Gastly ever printed. 4 of this card, basically Pitch Dark, costless. You attack with this, your opponent can't play trainers, so you slow SP down, you slow pretty much most decks down, and it just helps with that trainer lock. If you got this, maybe evolve in next turn with rare candy to Gengar and then make a strong Poltergeist attack. Just depends on a lot of things, but Trainer Lock is always good. This is too good. Max it out once again. Next up for the Alakazam line, so I do double of the Mysterious Treasures Alakazam. So Gengar was a top meta deck pretty much throughout the whole of the Diamond and Pearl era, whether it was Stormfront versions, Cursegar, later on Valgar when Vileplume from Undaunted came out. It was always doing something. And Gengar had a couple of different partners. The most popular ones would be Dusknoir from Diamond and Pearl, and then Riders and Rivals Nidoqueen perhaps. This was another option. This Alakazam gives you basically Power Lock to go with the Trainer Lock too, through the form of a hand trap / trap card. During your opponent's turn, you get to negate shit. So I decided, since I had the cards, I wanted to build it like this. It just makes sense to me. It's pretty good when you can negate Poké Powers, stop things like Garchomp C-Level X from healing, Lockstray from pulling, just all sorts of broken Poké Powers. Negate your opponent's Claydol, slow them down. Some good stuff. So that's where this card comes in. Being a Psychic Pokemon too, we can maybe attack with it. Its attack isn't that good, just 50 for 3. And then you're going to block 30 damage from Stage 2 Pokemon. It can perhaps come up. It won't be that good, but something. I like that it has one retreat. But I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter because it would be compatible with the stadium we got here. Moonlight Stadium. 100 HP is bad, but I mean, whatever. It's just a support Pokemon at the end of the day. So it was the least... the most lesser choice, I guess, for a partner for Gengar, but it was used, and I kind of like it. Okay, so we do double of that, and then double of the Abra. So I don't want to go through the whole history of the Alakazam line and the Kadabra curse with Uri Geller, but basically we didn't have Kadabra cards for the longest time, and with this Abra, it was their last attempt at a gimmick to get into Alakazam with Ultra Evolution. Just 2 energy attacks, search your deck for Alakazam, and instantly put it on Abra. I got rare candies, but that's about it. And yeah, it's another reason why it was a lesser option compared to, Dusknoir and Nidoqueen, because you could run like Broken Time Space and the Stage 1s. With this, you gotta have the rare candy. You don't have a choice. Okay. I mean, I wouldn't really want to run a lot of Broken Time Space in this deck anyway, but we'll get to that later. Okay, so 2 and 2. That's about it. Then we got the Claydol line, pretty important in this deck. Makes sense since we set up through Spiritomb. You can get this guy out fairly quickly, and it's going to give you some good draw power. So gotta have it. I mean, typical double Claydol in this deck, and then a double Baltoy. So maybe it just screams perfect sense to just run the Psychic Baltoy from Supreme Victors as opposed to the fighting one here, but I don't know, just because of that off chance with the Psychic balance, I'd rather have this. And to be honest, even if you have the Psychic Baltoy, most of the time you don't want to throw that stadium down just to retreat the Baltoy, and you're not always going to have it, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, either Baltoy isn't going to matter too much, but maybe some would say just run the Psychic one if you're running Moonlight Stadium. But I like to have this one instead. I don't really know how to explain it. Maybe in the future I'll post on Alpha Training Card Games when we finally get the site running, written articles, and I'll explain things better with the card choices. But just the Fighting Baltoy for now. Great Encounters should work. Then I got one of the Uxie in case you can't get the Claydol going in, just because it's a broken card. One of Uxie, play it down, draw into have 7, pretty good. We kind of have the bench space to afford in this deck, so that's why it's easy to just have in. Psychic Pokemon, once again, sort of compatible with Moonlight Stadium, just random good stuff like that. I can get them out of the way, put them back in the deck with Psychic Restore. Anyway. And then we got Spiritomb, the heart and soul of the deck, you could say. 4 copies, just max it out, basically. it's almost like this card was made to work with Gengar, but in the end, it just ended up being very good with a lot of Stage 2 Pokemon, slowing the game down. Best answer against, fast decks and SP decks. If you're going to play a setup deck, it just makes sense to build it with Spiritomb in mind, slow the game down, evolve into your guys. And the Trainer Lock, of course, it combos with Gengar switch-in attack, where it does 6 and then switches. I guess I should have mentioned that, but I think many people probably know what these cards do if they're watching this sort of a deck. But yeah, I mean, as long as this is active, Trainer Lock for both players, and it's just really good. Nothing else to add. The skeleton for this deck is just, it's not that complicated. It's a lot of cards in force. I mean, it just comes down to maybe a few differences with the supporters you want to run, the techs and other Stage 1 or Stage 2 partners you want to have with Gengar. But a lot of the main skeleton is just the same cards played in force, basically. Okay. And then the last Pokemon is one Unknown G. Once again, I kind of have the space and I want to have this in because surprisingly, a deck that can give this deck trouble is its own self, like a mirror match. Things like other Stormfront Gengars attacking you with Shadow Room and they can play around Feigning Spell, things like that. Just having this to stop effects through attacks, it's just good since I got the space. Have this in, Unknown G. And yeah, I mean, it stops other stuff too, but Stormfront Gengar is the first thing that comes to mind. Machamp, perhaps, you could say that too, but it's not like we're running a heavy basic Pokemon deck. It's evolution Pokemon. But yeah, Unknown G. Alright, now it's stadium time. I do double of the Moonlight Stadium. I like this because it's going to give my Psychic Pokemon free retreat. Pretty much every card in this deck, besides the Fighting, Claydol, and Baltoy, everything else is compatible, which is good. You can do the combo with arceus Gengar attack, promote the Spiritomb if they don't kill it. You can just move it out of the way without attaching an energy. Jason doesn't run this card in his deck and uses just an Unknown Q, but I like to have this around. It's a counter stadium at the end of the day. And yeah, I do have the one Broken Time space, but I don't really see why we want to exploit this card so much. In a deck like this where you want to slowly set up anyway, I mean, yeah, it's pretty sweet if you can evolve quickly enough, maybe evolve into the Claydol, the Gengars, what have you, but this was a pretty popular stadium. A lot of people are going to play it down anyway, so you don't need to have your own, and maybe you'll get to utilize it. And Moonlight is a counter stadium too, so having it like this, I think it's the best. 3 stadiums, don't want to go overboard. It would conflict with, somewhat conflict with Claydol too when you're trying to draw a lot of cards. Anyway. Okay, then we go for the supporters. It's going to be some standard stuff once again. It's just the 4. Rosane's Research. I mean, get those basic Pokemon early game. And mid to late game, get the Psychic Energies if you don't have any. We run enough so that we'll be seeing them, drawing them with Claydol and shit. But obviously, this is just a very consistent card. You usually max it out in most decks or go for 3 if you're not going to run 4. So it makes sense. This is good if you play second. Like if you play first, you can't use it, so you want to see something like Call Energy to get basic Pokemon. But if you play second, then it's the best opening supporter, basically. Okay. And then we do 4 of Professor Oak's Visit. So the reason why I run this card, and I guess I should have talked a little bit about what Alakazam does more in depth. Maybe some people don't know, but Oak is just a straight draw 3, and then you put a card from your hand and you put it at the bottom of the deck. I run this as opposed to Felicity because we'd rather not go overboard discarding resources, because Alakazam, in order to negate a Poke Power during your opponent's turn, you have to discard 2 cards from your hand. So I'll be discarding a lot of stuff if we're going to be getting that off every turn. And it's not too bad because, I mean, you got you got plenty of cards played in 4s, supporters played in 4s, so you're not going to need all of them once you're set up and you got Claydol. So you can discard extra copies. And that's why I run 4 of this card, and that's why I run him instead of Felicity, because if I use him, I put the extra card back in the deck. I don't discard it. We don't want to get rid of resources so much if you're going to be getting rid of stuff with Alakazam. That's the point. You can also get rid of extra Spiritombs with Alakazam. What else? I mean, maybe Unknown G, maybe just something like that. But usually you're just going to be getting rid of extra trainers for the most part. Okay. Next up, it's the 1 Cynthia's Feelings. Best supporter card when you can get the bonus effect, shuffle and draw 8. But the plan is we don't want to be getting our ass kicked. We want to be controlling the game and just keeping up with our opponent. So having this early in the game, or when your opponent just isn't getting KOs, shuffle and draw 4 is pretty lame, conflicts with Claydol. So that's why just 1 copy I think is good enough, basically. And I also do 1 Looker's Investigation. I kind of wish I had the space to run 2, but I don't really want to drop anything. I like the deck how it is. Maybe you could drop an Oak, but once again, this sort of conflicts with Claydol. It's a shuffle and draw 5, but it's cool because you get to look at your opponent's hand, so you can do this when you're not sure if you want to go for Shadow Room or Poltergeist. This is kind of cool. You get to see your opponent's hand and even just force them to sort of shuffle and draw a new hand, basically. So can be used as a disruption card too. Okay, and then I got I got 3 BB Search. Jason once again would run 4. I don't want to go overboard. 3 is enough. Basically, you mainly want this to just try and get the Claydol as soon as possible, because when you run Claydol, if you don't get it out as soon as possible, then it's just worse than not having it at all, decreasing your consistency. So just having this, making sure we get the Claydol out, just sort of balances out this card's big cost, only getting you 1 card. And we can get Gengar, of course, with this too. We can get any Pokemon. So it's nice. Nice enough. And that's the supporter cards. And then we got some trainers. I do the triple Rare Candy. So this is something that obviously conflicts with the Spiritomb, but I don't have a lot of trainer cards at all. So I can afford to run the Rare Candies. It's obviously important to get the Alakazam out. And then when Stormfront Gengar is active anyway, we're not going to be locking our trainers, so we can use this and evolve into other stuff. So you can get into Gengar, of course, with this, but it's best that you at least make sure you have 2 left in the deck to get out the Alakazam, of course. At least 2, maybe just 1 to get 1 Alakazam. Usually that's going to be enough. You'll be happy you got 1 out. But, I mean, you never know. When something gets killed, you want to use it again. Just keep in mind, you can't evolve to a Alakazam through like a stage 1. There's no Kadabra. So you can use this for Gengar, but it's pretty much here for Alakazam. And extra copies we could be discarding with Alakazam too. All right. And damn, cards keep falling. Shit. Okay. 1 Luxury Ball, standard stuff. Get any Pokemon except a level X. I don't even have a level X in this deck, but if you got the Gengar level X, you obviously run it. Then I do the 1 Night Maintenance, Pokemon and Energy Recovery in the deck. Just in case, I mean, maybe you'll get some Gengars and maybe some energies with this. Usually Pokemon, but I guess you never know. If things really go wrong, you can't set up the Alakazam, it got killed, maybe you try to get that out again, but probably not. But just my choice for recovery. Another card popular in this deck for recovery was Palmer's Contribution, because it's a supporter and it's not going to conflict with Spiritomb. But this isn't really your maybe traditional curse card, I guess, where you're always going to try and have the Spiritomb active. I always like Night Maintenance better anyway. Then we got the 1 switch. I wish I could have 2, but we only got space for 1, plus it would conflict with Spiritomb. This is just in case they try and get the clay all stuck, this is going to be our only out, instead of just slowly moving it out of the way with energies. That would suck, but that's about it. And everybody else has either free retreat with the Gengars and Haunters, or would be compatible with Moonlight Stadium. So yeah. And then the energies, it's pretty much just 8 psychic energies. I'm pretty sure 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And then full call energy. So the psychic energies, I mean, they speak for themselves. Power up the Gengar and anybody else attack. Gengar has cheap energy cost, so 8 should be enough. And Gengar is pretty flexible too. Just needs one psychic energy, and the other one can be anything. So call energy, I mean, really good in this deck. If we play first, open with this, you get a bunch of the Pokemon you need down, get the Abra, get Baltoy, other Gastlys or whatever, and Gengar can use it. So that's why we run it, and that's about it. And this is the deck, guys. I mean, it's not a very complicated deck, but trying to get the card numbers right can be kind of tricky when you want it to be, you know, consistent. So where are the guys? There's Alakazam. Where's Gengar? I can't find it anyway. But this is the Gengar Zoom Alakazam Gengar deck. Pretty good. Gengar was one of the toughest Pokemon for a reason. And they make a pretty nice partnership. If set up, they got a good matchup. I mean, good matchups all across the board. Feign and Spell is broken. All of the best decks use Poke Powers, so Shadow Room is going to be great. And yeah, nothing else to add. Just a great deck. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, share the video with your friends, and I'll see you guys next time. What